And listen to my story about a man named Jed. A poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground come a bubbling crude oil, that is, black gold.
I want to know how taking pictures on a public easement, it's a First Amendment protected activity. Now that you're aware of that, qualified immunity is not on the table.
I'm asking for your identification, sir.
Qualified immunity is not on the table.
Legitimate reason to be here.
You do,
And
but
I asked for
you
some identification.
have a legitimate reason to be here. But I'm telling you. Okay, let's talk to this guy.
No, let's talk to me.
Okay.
I'm the one dealing with this. Okay. Now here's the deal.
Deputy, can you please not get too close on me?
I will stand where I stand.
Okay, I'm trying to be reasonable.
And we're going to have a problem.
I'm trying to be reasonable. I'm trying to be reasonable.
All I asked was for your identification. Was that not?
Terrorism is not
legitimate.
It's not articulable. It's not.
It is articulable.
It is. Okay, articulate it. Taking pictures. That's not.
That's not for me to do right here. I will do that to the judge because he's the one that asked for that.
I want your camera to see me.
I don't have a camera, so you can do whatever you want. Okay. I have asked repeatedly for identification because I have a legitimate reason to be here.
How about this? I'll show it to you under the threat of duress and under
show
the
it
threat
however
of,
you want,
of
but
violence.
I want to see your identification.
Under the threat of violence, I will show it. Can
Let's
you?
see it.
I will. Can you articulate?
I'm not articulating anything.
But you have to. It's state law. It's state law.
That's it.
Okay.
You're under arrest. Failure to identify.
At the Beaver County Sheriff's Office. What's up, guys? So I wanted to make a quick little video for you and pretty much explain to you just a few things about Deputy McMinn over at the Beaver County Sheriff's Office. So everything leading up to the unlawful arrest, I'll pretty much give you a rundown on what happened. I was in Beaver, Oklahoma at the natural gas compressor station in the middle of nowhere, guys, outside of Beaver. I was on the easement the whole time, guys, so that wasn't an issue. If you listen into the video, this is how misinformed Deputy McMinn is. I was on the public easement taking pictures and video of the compressor station. Now, keep in mind, guys, they were sandblasting for the day. Let me just say this. You can't justify an unlawful arrest and then change the charge up and then say it's lawful. You just can't do it, guys. So anyway, regardless of where I was, what I was filming, I was on a public easement. It's my First Amendment right to be there. There's nothing wrong with it. I was on the easement taking pictures and photographs of the compressor station. It was probably about 35 degrees out. I was getting a little cold, so as I was leaving, I assume somebody from the compressor station, I guess, had called on me saying, "Hey, we got a guy out here taking pictures. We don't know what he's doing." I'm in the process of FOIAing the 911 call. I don't know if it was non-emergency or a 911 call, but I'm working on getting that. But basically, sheriffs roll up real aggressive, two of them, McMinn, and then I don't know the other guy's name. And pretty much he comes out all aggressive, runs up on me. This was before I went live, guys. Keep that in mind. I only went live because he was getting aggressive. He was getting hostile. I feared for my life. That's when I went live. But before I went live and before all this happened, I'm just telling you, giving you a rundown on what occurred. He had come up to me and said, "I have a legitimate reason to be here." And I responded, "You do have a legitimate reason to be here, but I also have the right to refuse to comply because I'm not under arrest. I'm not being detained. You have not given me a legitimate reason to comply." He never could articulate a legitimate crime that I committed, because there was none. I was on a public easement doing a First Amendment protected activity, taking pictures and video of anything that I can see. So, basically, he came up to me and he said, "I need your ID." I said, "Have I done anything wrong? What do you suspect me of?" He then said out of his own mouth, I'll explain all this. He basically said, "I suspect you of terrorism." Okay. Now, keep in mind, guys, Deputy McMinn, I have photographed him before, okay, about 6 months ago. Deputy McMinn knows who I am. He's dealt with me before. This is a retaliation arrest, okay? I can prove it and I can show it, okay? Deputy McMinn knew who I was before he even got to the call. I had filmed Deputy McMinn at the sheriff's office, and he was butthurt, and that's why he did what he did, because he did not like me filming him in the first place, okay? Another thing he said that is false, and you guys know this. Any smart, logical person would know that this is just totally blown out of the water. He had told me, you're not allowed to film private property. Okay. That is just so not true. First of all, I was on a public roadway, a public easement. If I can see it, guys, I can film it, okay? That's what he does not realize. That it's my First Amendment right. If I'm on a roadway or a sidewalk or an easement and I see something, regardless if it's public or not public, I have every right to film that, okay? Or take pictures, whatever it may be. I have that right. So, he basically said he suspected me of terrorism. We all know that's BS, I'm not a terrorist. He knew who I was. He was just messing with me. He was trying to screw with me. He knew who I was. He hated me. He wanted to arrest me, in which case he did. Illegally detained and illegally arrested me. All he said was, I suspect you of terrorism. We got past the terrorism part. I said, sir, if you cannot articulate a legitimate crime that I've committed, I'm not going to comply. But here's the thing. I comply with lawful orders, lawful demands. Nothing he was doing was lawful. It was not a lawful detention. Nothing he was doing was correct. He was getting aggressive. He was getting hostile. He kept stepping into my face. I feared for my life. I kept taking a step back, putting distance between us. He doesn't have a body camera. His vehicle doesn't have a dash camera. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what he's going to claim I did, so I wanted to keep my distance. He kept stepping in my face. Being aggressive. He wanted to inflict his will. He wanted to use his badge to intimidate me and put fear in my mind, and he wanted to show that he's the bigger man. Okay? So he then said, "Oh, I've asked repeatedly. Give me your ID. Oklahoma is not a stop and identify state. He's got to have articulable, reasonable suspicion of a crime, and he's got to tell you what he suspects you of committing." He did neither. He did not articulate a crime to me. He had no legitimate crime, okay? Standing on a sidewalk filming is not a crime, okay? That is not a crime. It's not illegal. I've done nothing wrong. He illegally detained, illegally arrested me. I don't know how many times I got to say this. This guy he's rogue, okay? This guy is a bully. He's just out of control, guys. So I basically, he said, "You're under arrest for failure to ID." As you guys know, this guy is such an idiot. McMinn is the biggest idiot in the world, okay, guys? He arrested me for failure to ID. And then when we got down to the jail, he put the charges as obstructing. Okay, tell me this. What was I obstructing, people? What I was obstructing was not giving my ID. I had no lawful reason to give my ID. So then how am I obstructing if your demand for an ID isn't lawful to begin with? There you go, people. I wasn't obstructing. I'm not obstructing. It's just a contempt of cop arrest. The guy was pissed off that I stood up to him, and he's used to people cowering down to him because not everybody knows their rights. People like me, he hates us. He wants people to fear him. That's what it is. This guy's a bully. That's all he is. Give me your ID. No, I'm not going to give you my ID. I have no lawful reason to give you ID. Okay, well, since you don't want to give it, you're obstructing. Turn around, put your hands behind your back. What happened was a snatch and grab, okay? I was kidnapped, people. I did nothing wrong but stand up to this bully and exercise every right given to me by the Constitution. I told him, I said, I'm not going to ID because I have no lawful reason to ID. He arrested me for failure to ID. Now, you tell me, in the state of Oklahoma, how silly does that sound? That is very silly. And then when you get down to the jail, you want to switch your story up and, he was obstructing. Anyway, people, the moral of the story is, we're going to win. We're going to beat this. just wait for the DA, wait for the judge to get a hold of this. They're going to throw this out. They're going to take swift action. Next thing I know, I'm going down to the sheriff's office, and I'm going to be doing a formal complaint against this guy, regardless if it does anything or not. The sheriff's on board with this. Obviously, the sheriff allows this to happen in his county, but we'll see when re-election comes up if he's the sheriff any longer. I don't think he will be, but we'll see. Guys, all I can say is, we got to take this day to day. We got to see what happens with this. So far it's leaning in my favor. People are starting to see what McMinn did. This guy, he does not need to be hired at any other agencies. This guy is just a thug, people. I can't express any more to you people, how much I feared for my life. This guy had no cameras, no audio recording devices whatsoever. I don't know what he put in his report. So who knows, people? And then he's upset. So he goes and seizes my phone as evidence. People, come on now. Anyway, so if you go to James Freeman's channel and you listen to James Freeman livestream, James Freeman was able to get Deputy McMinn on the phone, and James Freeman asked Deputy McMinn, what crime were you investigating or that you suspected him of? Deputy McMinn then responded to Freeman, there was not a crime, he just wouldn't give me his ID. So you guys tell me, how would you interpret that? Okay, he was upset because I didn't give him my ID. There was no crime. He admitted it on camera, on recording, to James Freeman. He did not suspect me of a crime. There wasn't a crime he was investigating. He just was upset that I didn't give him my ID. Okay? This is a slam dunk case. This guy's done for, okay? His career is over. Anyway, guys, thank you for your time. I'm going to get out of here. Stay safe, people. Thanks for listening to me.